Hi, Matt Bisogno here from Tennis Profits, and you will have seen already how we have a suite of tools and strategies to help tennis traders be the best they can. I really believe that the data set that we have and the support and guidance we have in Tennis Profits is the very best available for tennis traders. But what if you're a tennis bettor? Can we help you? Well, the answer of course is yes. And in the rest of this video, I'd like to show you what I do to turn a profit from my tennis betting. Now, I should say that I'm a recreational tennis bettor. Most of my betting is on another sport that some of you will know. But I do like to bet tennis, particularly at the Grand Slam tournaments. And I'm going to show you how I do that and how I've been able to turn a profit doing it. So let's go over to the computer screen now and we can see what I do.
So this is my Bet365 account, and I've got the date range here. These are basically the first few days of the French Open, and in the Grand Slam tournaments there are 128 first round matches. So that is the greatest range of opportunity to take advantage of this offer, and I'm going to show you what the offer is. So I use 365. If you can use Bet365, then as you'll see in a second, they do have a very advantageous offer. So just going from the top here, this was a losing bet, £8 loser, and a £5 loser here, so that's £13 down, and then another 2 here, 15, and then the first of the winners is here, and on this ticket you can see that it was a £20 ticket that returned 55, so that's paid for those losers already. If you look at the odds on the players here, the shortest price is 1 to 100, Alcaraz, and the longest price is 1 to 5. So they're all very short prices, and that's a loser there. This was a small loser, so just £2 stake, £2 stake. I've taken a few chances in these. You see I've put a 9 to 2 shot in here, and that 9 to 2 with a 7 to 4 in here as well. And again the 7 to 4 here, trying to get one of those into the frame, which I wasn't able to do. But you can see on this bet here, now this is the first one where the longest price here was 8 to 13, Tommy Mashak. And 1 to 4 Maya Sharif, all the rest very, very short. But this thing here, 35% ACCA boost, so essentially this was £10 to win 18. Well, it was actually £10 to win 12, but a £6 bonus on that. So it's this ACCA boost bonus that really makes this highly playable for me. Here's another one. Got a 4 to 6 in there and a 4 to 9, but mostly they're very short. And again, £10 returned about 25, so a £15 profit. But then an extra 9.75 here as a result of this ACCA boost. Here is another one, just a few players in this one, and a 25% bonus on a small stake again. A few horsey bets, and then another one here. Shortest price was 1 to 150, Swiatek, Alcaraz, Djokovic, and then the longest price was Uchijima at 2 to 9, and the second longest price was a 1 to 6. So I wasn't really taking many chances here. Of course, any of these players can get beaten, they can have an off day or whatever, but 60% bonus on this one again is very palatable. And here again is a 55% bonus, and here is a 50% bonus. Now the longest price here looks like it was 1 to 10, so they were all can't use the word certainty because there's no such thing obviously, but they were all very likely winners, very, very likely winners in many of the cases. And this was a £50 stake. It returned £32 on top of the 50, of which 16 was bonus. So essentially it doubled the profit on the bet from this Akka boost. So that's really why I'm playing these, because I can parlay them, I can roll them up into an accumulator like this, and whilst the individual odds are probably lower than Betfair by a tick or two, the aggregation of them, you can't really do that on Betfair anyway, but more importantly I'm getting this huge bonus juice on top of any return. So that's obviously attractive to me. Now let's look at Tennis Profits itself, and I'll show you what I'm looking for, both positive and negative, to inform the players that go into my accumulators. So my starting point tends to be the members homepage, members.tennisprofits.com, and under stats, the trading stats report is the place where I start. This is kind of a high level overview of all of the matches taking place today, or in this case I've got show tomorrow's matches on here. I've selected WTA, and I'm going to change this to the last, actually I think I'll leave it on last 30. Conscious that that is quite on grass courts, which of course we're looking at with Wimbledon here. That can be quite a long time frame, but we'll start with that anyway. And there's a couple of ways that we can do this. So for the straight betting that we're looking at in this video, I tend to look at the key stats as a starting point, and one of the things I do is sort by odds, because I am looking for the shorties. Really, I'm trying to take advantage of the bonus opportunity. You can see I've got just WTA here. I'll look at ATP separately in a second, but we'll start with WTA and just sort by odds here. Just click on odds, and that sorts them, as you can see, by odds. And we've got Madison Keys is the shortest price at 1 to 100, 1.01, and we can see that this is her service hold in the last 30 matches on grass, 77.7%. That's a massively better than her opponent. If I just click in the row here with Madison Keys, you can see that her opponent is Martina Trevisan, who doesn't hold her service as often as she might on grass, isn't a strong returner on grass, doesn't save many break points on grass, doesn't win many break points on grass, and allows her opponents to hold their serve very often. So ostensibly this is a strong start for the accumulator. So if I click on the little eye here, that's going to open up the more detailed match stats page for this particular match, and we can have a look at I mean, it looks pretty solid already. And this is, if we just bring this down a little bit here. Okay, so we can see in the top part they're both experienced players, but not overly experienced. They're kind of a good age. We can see that Keys is ranked 12 in the world, whereas Trevisan is 89. Keys has been as high as 7 and has a strong surface rank. So this is our Tennis Profits internal ranking system for, in this case, grass, because it's a grass tournament, and she's ranked 13 in our grass rankings, which is pretty much the same as her WTA rank here. We've got some ranking history here, so if we just extend this out to 2022 plus, you can see that Keys dropped down a little bit, and then in this time last year she shot back up. This is grass specifically. If you look at official rank, then that will show all of the rankings, and we can see that Keys has been a top 30 player for most of 3 years at least, whereas Trevisan did rise up into the top 30. In fact, had a high of 18 on May the 8th and 15th there, which is, we see that here anyway, and then, but she's definitely dropped back a bit more recently. I am particularly interested in the grass itself, and we can see that Trevisan's notably below Keys's level in the last couple of years. The next section to look at is the match records, and we've got just going to make this a little bit bigger. We've got the match records is broken up into two sections. So the top section is for all surfaces. So this will be these players' last 10 and 50 matches on all surfaces, and then the lower section is for grass only. In this case, it's the current surface. So we can see that Trevisan has won just one of her last 10 on grass. Just make that smaller again. Sorry for changing the zoom. But we can see here that if we look at Trevisan, we can see that in 2018 at Wimbledon, she didn't get through qualifying. In 2019 at Wimbledon, she lost to Swiatek, which is, no shame in that. Although Swiatek 5 years ago would have been a very young player. She lost to Ponchet in the first round of qualifying in 2019. She lost in the first round at Bad Homburg in 2021. She lost in the first round at Wimbledon. She lost in the first round at Bad Homburg in 2022. She lost in the first round at Wimbledon in 2022. And she lost in the first round at Bad Homburg and Wimbledon in 2023 as well. Where's the win? Oh yeah, she won a. So the last match that Trevisan won on grass was June the 26th, 2018. Now, she obviously hasn't played a lot of matches in that time, but those are not strong sets, and she's been getting beaten in straight sets mainly as well. 6-2, 6-love, 6-4, 6-2, 6-3, 6-1. I mean, it's almost like she's not trying. If you look at her overall form, you can see that in fact, if we just do this on the chart, she's probably a much better clay player. And we can see there that Trevisan on clay is up here in top 12, whereas on grass she's down here. So clearly grass is not Trevisan's surface. Let's just quickly look at Madison Keys, her last 10, and you can see that all of her last 10 are since this time last year. So she won the pre-Wimbledon tournament at Eastbourne, and then she got to the quarter-finals at Wimbledon. Excuse me. And then this year she got to the semi-finals at Eastbourne. So she's had a couple of days off in between to recharge. She's playing well. She did have a walkover there, so she's only played 2 matches there. But everything we've seen so far implies strongly that odds of 1 to 100. It's very hard to quantify whether that's about the right price, as opposed to 1 to 66 or 1 to 200. But it seems like Madison Keys is an overwhelmingly the most likely winner of this match. Now, lower down the page, we've got something called a filters section here, and we obviously are not interested in clay, we're interested in grass in this occasion, so I'm going to click that one to bring up the grass form, and we definitely want to look at the main tour only. And I'm going to extend that out to the last 30, and then that's going to align with, actually no, I'm going to do 2 years because I want to look at a stat that doesn't show for last 30. Right, so we can see that in the last 2 years, Trevisan has played 2 matches and lost. Her opportunities to win on grass are restricted by her inability to win in first rounds. And we can see that her stats here are not good. And Keys is Keys' advantage. So she's highlighted in bold to say that, for instance, for service hold, her stat is the dominant stat. But what we also do here is we show by how much it's dominant. And usually this is a small number here. But in this case, it's rampant. It's much bigger. So, you know, these are two humans and stuff happens, but really, on pretty much every basis, we can see that Keys has a huge edge over Trevisan. If you don't want to see all of the extra data, you can just uncheck this arrow here, and then so now you've just got the percentages and by how much it's dominant over the other one. And we can see that on all of the key stats, Keys is dominant, and all the other stats apart from second serve points 1, where they're very similarly focused. I mean, normally I wouldn't spend this long looking at this match. I would have decided that it was a very likely winner on my accumulator, so Keys is definitely going onto that ticket. This is basically how I do it. What I'm going to do, just to put a bit more meat on the bone, is I'll find a match that I think is a little bit more, a little bit less obvious, and we can work around that. So one of the things I like to do is to order by opponent hold, and I'm looking for these green ones here. So this is basically saying that these players put a lot of pressure on their opponent's serve, and that's why the opponent's hold figures are low percentages. And if I can find a player who can also kind of match that with a strong service hold of their own, for instance, Alison von Uitvank, then that might be an interesting match to look at. So, in actual fact, I'm going to look at the one below her, Ava Lees, because I can see that her figures look interesting to me. So I'm going to click on the eye here, and then we'll see who she's playing. And we can see she's playing Clara Burrell, both young players. Burrell much the higher ranked overall, but lower on grass. And we can see here that Lees has a 2-1 head-to-head edge over Burrell, so they've played a few times previously. Never on grass, twice on clay. Lees has beaten her, and then Burrell won on the hard court. Again, let's look at the official ranking, and we can see that they were kind of around the same level during the time of these two matches. And we can see that more recently Burrell has improved more notably than her rival Lees here. If we look specifically on grass, however, we can see that there's not much between them. They're both sort of around the 200 mark, although Lees must have had a good performance in one of the warm-up tournaments for Wimbledon. We'll see that here. So if we look at the last 10 on the current surface, we can see for Lees, we can see that she sailed through qualifying, a good result against Anisimova, easy for me to say. All these players ranked around 200 and come through quite nicely. She was the outsider to beat Anisimova, but got that done. I mean, not strikingly good performance, but reasonable enough. Meanwhile, Clara Burrell in 2021 she got to the second round at Wimbledon, but she hasn't played a lot since. So 2022 she got knocked out by Katie Boulter, who is a very good grass player. In the first round, she didn't get through qualifying in 23. losing to a player ranked below her when she was a odds-on favourite. And then this year she played the first round at Nottingham, where she was favourite and lost in straight sets. She played the first round at Birmingham, where she was not favourite, but she lost in straight sets. And she played the first round at Bad Homburg, where she was not favourite, and she did actually win a set there on tie break. But you can see that her good grass form is from 3 years ago, and she's essentially won one match since, and that was in the first qualifying round last year at Wimbledon against a player ranked 170. So not strong performance. Let's have a look at the filters section. To be honest, I'm not excited particularly to put this match into my ACCA, although the price of about 4 to 5 is quite attractive for a small stakes one. We can see here that on a small number of matches, there's only 7 matches in Lisa's sample and 5 in Burrell's from main tour grass in the last 2 years. We can see that Lisa's done a lot better, and is clearly the dominant player. Predicted holds is something that I look at, and this factors in both the opponent's ability to hold their serve and the serving player's ability to hold theirs. So it's essentially a combination, a composite of serve and return statistics, and we can see here that Lise has a big edge there. So actually, I might get drawn into this one because Lise does seem to have quite a strong advantage over Burrell, notwithstanding that in the WTA rankings, Burrell is much higher ranked. You can see in our surface rankings, she's much lower ranked. So I hope that makes sense. The stats really that I'm looking for are the key stats, and I'm looking for a good edge on most of those. And the other stats, where again predicted holds is an important one. A second serve percent is quite interesting to me. Second serve points won, because certainly on the women's game they tend to there's a lot more reliance on the second serve. So the stats in these first 2 boxes, essentially, particularly is predicted holds won, as well as the information on the TSR, Trading Stats Report, are the ones that I'm looking for. And I tend to order by odds to see which ones are expected to be the not quite free hits, but the very likely hits. And then as well as that, I'm looking particularly at service hold and opponent hold, as well as the stats that Paul highlighted in his 7 Wimbledon key stats, 2 of which are breakpoint save and breakpoints won. So I'm looking for a strong combination on these, and importantly, I'm looking for one player to have a significant edge over the other player. So I'm looking at these plus numbers here, and on the report itself, I'm looking at on the match stats page itself, I'm looking at the plus numbers here as well. I hope that's of interest to some of you. So as I say, it's important to note that I bet for fun on tennis, bet a little bit more seriously on another sport, but prior to being involved with Tennis Profits and building these reports, I didn't know anything really about tennis. I've developed a lot more knowledge and awareness as a consequence of being able to see really insightful, good data, which you can cut up to how you want to look at it. So you can look at specific tours, you can look at specific surfaces, you can look at specific time frames, you can look at data for specific strategies that you're using. So whatever you want, whatever is interesting to you, you can curate our data and statistics to suit you. And in the match stats pages, you've got all kinds of detail to help you understand how player A will will get on against player B. Just a quick reminder that this very special offer for Wimbledon will close on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. So that's about 48 hours as I'm recording this, and then after that you can still get in, for what is I think a great value monthly price. But if you want to get 3 months for the price of one, then now is the time to do that. That window is closing, as I say, in 48 hours, and I really hope to see you inside. Okay, this is Matt Bisogno saying thank you very much for watching, and goodbye for now.